for my hijab. When Kamal first told me he loved me for my hijab, I felt honored. I had spent so many years wearing it, first for myself, then for Allah, and the idea that someone could admire it, even love me because of it, was flattering. I thought it meant he understood me, that he saw beyond the surface. Our relationship was beautiful at the beginning. We prayed together, laughed together, and shared dreams of a future rooted in faith. He'd often tell me that I was like a diamond, rare and precious, and that my modesty made me shine. I felt like I had found someone who truly valued my faith. But after we got married, things started to shift. At first, the comments were small. He'd say things like, "You look beautiful, but have you ever considered wearing something a bit more colorful?" Or, "Maybe you should try a lighter scarf, something a little more modern." I brushed it off. It was small stuff after all. He was just trying to help me fit in better, right? But then the comments became more frequent, more pointed. One day, after we had been married for a few months, he said something that stayed with me. He looked at me and said,
"I didn't marry a sheikha, Alia. I married a wife. Can't you be a little more normal? Just take the scarf off sometimes. It's just a piece of cloth after all."
I remember feeling the words sink deep into my chest, but I didn't know how to respond. The man who had once praised me for my hijab now seemed to see it as something that was holding him back. He wanted me to change, to be less of what I had always been. I tried to explain to him that the hijab wasn't just about appearance. It wasn't a mere piece of cloth. It was the symbol of my commitment to Allah. It was part of who I was. But Kamal didn't understand. He saw it as a barrier between us, a barrier between me and the world. He thought I was too rigid, too serious. He wanted me to be more relaxed, more flexible, and every time he made those comments, I felt a little more like I was losing myself. One evening, after a heated argument, he told me something that I couldn't shake. He said,
"You don't need to cover your neck that much. You don't need to be so strict about everything. I married you for your beauty, not for your beliefs."
The words stung, not because they were harsh, but because they were true in a way that hurt. I began to question everything. Had I married the wrong person? Was I losing my sense of self for someone who didn't truly understand what the hijab meant to me? I sat in front of the mirror one night staring at myself. My hijab was wrapped tightly as it always had been. It felt like a shield, a part of me I had never questioned. But now, I found myself staring at it as if I didn't recognize the woman wearing it. Was this the same woman who had proudly chosen to wear it despite the pressures around her? Was I still the same woman who had walked into campus with my head held high, knowing that my modesty was my own decision? That's when it hit me. Kamal didn't love me for my faith. He loved me for how I looked with it. He admired the appearance of my hijab, but not the reasons behind it. And that was the moment I realized I had to make a choice. I didn't want to lose my marriage, but I also didn't want to lose myself. The hijab wasn't just a choice I made for him or for anyone else. It was for me, and it was for Allah. I couldn't let anyone take that away from me, not even the man I loved. The next day, I packed a bag. I didn't want to leave, but I couldn't stay either. I needed to find a way back to myself, to the woman I used to be before I started bending to be loved. To the woman who wore her hijab with joy, not fear of rejection. To the woman who chose Allah, unapologetically. Kamal didn't try to stop me. He didn't understand, but he didn't stop me. And that silence gave me the final confirmation I needed. I moved into a small sunlit apartment. Just me, my prayer mat, my books, and a quiet that felt like a second chance. I prayed Fajr with sincerity. I broke into tears during sujud, not from sadness, but from relief. Each day I felt lighter. Each ayah I read, each step I took alone reminded me I didn't lose my life. I found it. I began teaching Quran to young girls at the masjid. I started journaling my journey and found sisters who had been through the same silent struggles. I laughed again. Real laughter. Not the polite kind I used to fake. And I dressed up in my favorite abayas, wrapped my scarf tightly, and smiled at my reflection without needing anyone's approval. The world saw a woman who walked away from her marriage, but I saw a woman who walked back to her Lord. And in that return, I found peace, not just in my heart, but in my soul. I wasn't lonely. I was finally free to be who I truly was, in full submission and serenity. Sometimes, love is not enough. Sometimes, you have to choose between the love of a person and the love of your faith. But in choosing your faith, you never lose yourself. My name is Aliyah, and this is my story. If you watched till this point, comment Alhamdulillah.